Welcome to Talking Reconciliation, a series of interviews and discussions presented by Global Reconciliation, an organisation that works around the world to promote communication and dialogue across cultural, religious, political and other kinds of difference. In this series, I talk with practitioners of reconciliation in many countries and from many walks of life. In this interview, I'm talking with Yusuf Omar, a social scientist and activist who works for reconciliation amongst Somali people in both Somalia and overseas. I started by asking Yusuf about the conditions in Somalia at the time of his leaving the country with his wife Khadija, who is also an activist.
At that time there was a civil war still, 1993. Somalia had a very bad civil war. The city was very dark. Everyone had a gun just to protect themselves. There was no government at that time. It was really a chaotic situation, a full civil war. So it was really very challenging.
Who were the sides in the civil war?
Different clans, different tribes, warlords as well. Regional governments also had their own interests as well. And then after that, a war transformed itself and it became between internationally recognized government, a weak government, actually it's government in name only, and the quite extremist group called Al-Shabaab.
It was around this time that you developed your ideas about reconciliation and peacemaking, both within the Somali communities in Australia and elsewhere, which themselves are quite divided, and in Somalia itself. Can you tell us a little bit about your ideas?
Yeah, the idea, I'm from a war-torn country. This is the root of my current attempt to hold the Somalia. And then in 2010 I went to Italy. I attended a 1 month training in conflict resolution organized by International Peace and Security Institute, IPSI, in partnership with Johns Hopkins Universities. So from that time I have been just trying to really assist the Somali community in diaspora, and in the future also I had in mind to help Somali society back home. So the similarity is, as you said, the Somali community, like other new arrived communities, has a lot of difficulties in Australia, in USA, in UK. It's a divided community in many levels. In community level, there is intergenerational conflict between all the generation and young generation based on language differences, based on cultural differences. The young ones actually can easily adopt and get a local culture and the local language, while all the generation, the parents still keeping their old culture and get difficulty in getting the new language as well. There is gender differences. There's a gender conflict as well. After relocation or settlement in USA or Australia or elsewhere in the West, the gender conflict has become a big issue. Family breakdowns and role reversals as well, or in which men in Africa and Somalia were the main breadwinners. They were respected. They were community leaders, family leaders. They were decision makers, but not anymore in Australia or in the West. They are not breadwinners anymore alone. They are not decision makers. Their wives and children would like to challenge them and to have input, because everyone has his or her own income. So it's really, that's what I could say is a soft conflict, or it's really a hidden conflict. And back home in Somalia, we're still having the civil war, the government, and the Shabaab, the fight between the government and the Shabaab as well. So the whole Somali society, either inside Somalia or outside Somalia, and has this conflict culture, and in which really we're trying, myself and my wife and others who are peace activists, to at least introduce a new way of solving the problem, reconciliation, and how to develop a process in which people can develop skills, how to deal with everyday problem, everyday challenge, either here in Australia or USA or maybe back home, how to develop a new language, new approach, how to benefit from other cultures, and professional institutions who are actually have been dealing with a conflict for many years, and at the same time how to support a local Somali perspective in making peace and making a conflict resolution as well. So it's a process that may take forever, but at least I'm happy. It's a good start.
Can you describe how you work within the diaspora communities? Do you have a particular technique or methodology that you employ?
Yeah, I think my life, either professional life or private, was very much part of the diaspora work. When I came to Australia, when I was released from the detention, I remember the following year of my release, I established a Somali Youth Association, and I understood that Somali youth were in chaos. They were not represented, in the community. There were community leaders, of course. The majority of Somalis are youth. So that was the first, thing I did. And then after that, I worked, as I said, as a multicultural aide in public schools to help, the mainstream one side and the community on the other side to understand each other. And then my PhD was all about understanding and investigating of difficulties encountering Somali youth in different environment, and their parents as well. And then I have been also publishing some articles from time to time, focusing on some specific issues in social integration and the Somali communities in diaspora. And now I see myself really, that's actually it's me, it's my existence is just a part of the diaspora, and now I'm trying really to pass all these skills, all these good experience really back home Somalia, and deal the problem from its original resources, which is back home in Somalia. I assume any positive development back home can reflect automatically to the Somali communities in diaspora, or any negative or war or violence happening in Somalia can also reflect automatically to the Somali community in diaspora. As a Somali writer, Nuruddin Farah, said, if it rains in Mogadishu, it's the capital city of Somalia, he actually named the main Somali cities, Mogadishu, Hargeisa of Bosaso, or Beledweyne or Baydhabo. He said, if it rains in these areas, umbrellas are taken in Melbourne or Toronto or London or Minneapolis. That means how the Somalis feel what's happening in Somalia. It's a metaphoric, what's happening in Somalia, it's felt automatically outside of Somalia. So I'm very convinced that the root cause of the Somali problem is inside Somalia. Also, any help and any work in diaspora also can make a positive change as well. I can see a lot of Somalis from diaspora going back home and contributing in different levels, in political level, business level. They creating a lot of employment as well. And also, for what I observed in my last trip in Somalia, there was huge differences and misunderstanding between diaspora detainees and the local Somalis as well. So the country really in a very difficult situation how to really handle all these cultures and all these languages and experience coming from around the world in a country without, an effective government. It's quite very challenging.
You've just referred to your recent trip to
Somalia.
back to Somalia
Yes.
after 23 years away.
Yes.
Can you tell us the story of that visit?
Excuse me. That was really very exciting after 23 years, of being not in Somalia to go Somalia. Myself and my wife, we really determined to make some difference in the life of young Somalis, specifically, and the Somali people, back home as well. So we were in between fear and hope. Really, we realized that Somalia is in a recovery stage. It's recovering compared to the last time I saw Somalia in 1993. You can see, the scars of the civil war, the outcome of the civil war, the destruction, the magnitude of the destruction is huge. And without really getting a lot of support from the international community, it could take so generation if, for Somalis really to recover. And it's a time for the good, international community and all these, opportunities to be journaled, in Somalia and assisted.
You conducted a training course
Yes.
or
Yes.
an educational program in peacemaking
Yes.
when you were there.
Yes.
What was the nature of that program?
Yeah, the program was a conflict transformation program in which myself and my wife Khadija wanted really to share with young Somalis. It was very interactive, and we just wanted to share with them how to develop some new skills, on individual level, self-knowledge, how, participants actually could, develop, internal dialogue among themselves, understand their weaknesses, understand, their strengths as well, understand, the surrounding, and at the same time to develop, collaborative attitude with others and teamwork, and, also at the same time to develop a sense of problem-solving skills, how to, deal and manage the problem, community level, family level, wife and husband level, parent and youth level as well, children level, as well. Just how to create that kind of process of reconciliation, self-reconciliation, neighborhood reconciliation, dialogue in a positive, just community solidarity, community spirit, because people, have become so negative after 25 years of civil war. So we just really wanted to create some positive approach, an alternative to the negativities, how to help them empty their minds all the civil wars and trauma and think in a positive ways. The other good thing is that they have never experienced it is, the participant is, they said, we have never seen a couple of PhD holders coming from diaspora and trying to help the community. There were, some PhD holders, of men, but they have never seen a female PhD holder, specifically with my wife here. So they said Khadija could be the first PhD holder we met forever, and at the same time she's working alongside, her husband. So itself, being there myself and Khadija as trainers was itself was an example, teaching by example, and in a practical ways rather than theoretical and words. Yeah, so it was really very nice to have Khadija with me.
Thank you. We'll have to finish in a moment. Can I ask you one last question?
Yes.
What's next for you, and how do you see the future of Somalia?
We have a dream to develop a curriculum in the long term that could be taught at primary school level, and high school level and maybe middle school level as well. We had a dream also to develop a manual or reference guideline in which government, junior government staff could use for the reconciliation and maybe dialogue and all this stuff. And we have a vision to establish in the longer term perhaps a very professional local institute, while also working as a partnership with other professional groups like Global Reconciliation and Mogadishu University as well, but to develop an institute that could actually undertake research on serious matters of the conflict and violence in Somalia, and at the same time that could run also a lot of trainings in reconciliation and peace building in a deep level, and not in a political level, in a social level, in a grassroots level. So that's what we're trying to achieve in the long term. For Somalia, as I said, Somalia is a recovering state now. Unless there is a support from international community, the recovery may take so long time, and it could take to any direction at any time. I mean, the civil war is still going on. More than 75% of Somali youth are under 30, and they have never experienced any kind of government. They have never benefited from government services. They don't know what's the government at all. So the majority of the Somali society have never seen a government. More than 75% young people. On the other side, they were exposed, or they have been exposed to every bad thing, the war, the violence, the corruption, lawlessness, lack of system, mistrust, and lack of social institutions, government institutions as well. So there's hope, really, but the damage really is huge as well. It's really huge. So just what we're trying is to deal with what we think is very important, just to inspire the younger generation. A lot of people are doing in education. Also, I can question the quality of the education, the curriculum, if it's a curriculum that could actually help them recover or otherwise. That's a question mark as well. Curriculum itself sometimes could be part of the problem. It could perpetuate the negativities and stereotypes among themselves, the different groups as well, or it could be a solution. The curriculum really is a big problem. There is no a unified curriculum. It's a curriculum from different countries, based on international NGOs that supporting some specific schools. They bring their own curriculum. So the civic, citizenship education really is missing. Most young people, I can say, or almost all of them are taught other histories from other countries, other geographical, information, not Somalia at all. So you can see a lot of young people are Somalis born in Somalia. They're studying outside of Somalia. So your curriculum really is a big problem as well.
There's a lot of work to be done. Are you
Yes.
optimistic about the future?
Yes, absolutely. I'm optimistic with all these difficulties and challenges. I think the hope must be there. And there is a hope, there is a recovery, and we would like just to be part of that hope and recovery.